This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 9:01 a.m. on Monday, May 18th, 2026. This is a hybrid format meeting of the Oregon Board of Massage Therapists. Welcome to those joining in person at the Hampton Inn and Suites in Salem and those attending remotely. Members of the public attending virtually, please include your name, and if you're an LMT, your license number on your sign-in. Non-LMTs, please include the organization you're representing. I'd like to ask the public attendees to please keep your camera and microphone turned off, except when asked by the chair to speak during roll and public comment periods. Additionally, the recording system is very sensitive, so while it's recording, please avoid side conversations, talking over one another, and noisy disruptions. We'll now call the roll, beginning with board members, then staff, and lastly, members of the public. Please state your name, your title or license number, and the city you are from. I'm Beckett Rowan, board chair and LMT member, and my practice is in Eugene.
Maria Odell, vice chair, Lebanon.
Danica Tatchik, board member, Gresham.
Doug Giles, public health member, Salem Board.
Melissa Fulfer, board member, LMT 20950.
Scott English, public board member, Dallas, Oregon.
Carol Gray, LMT board member, Portland.
I'm Bob Ruark. I'm the executive director for the board.
Jeff Van Lannen, I'm the compliance and licensure manager for the board.
Mitch Breedlove, compliance specialist for the board.
Angie Hunt, board legal counsel.
Executive President and Policy Analyst for the board.
Did we already hear from Carol?
Yes.
We don't have anyone calling in?
We do. Let me, I'm not a share here, but.
Here, move on.
Yeah, I won't be able to see it, Bob, so you're good.
Okay. So, we have Kevin Douglas. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin Douglas. I'm with FSM TV.
Good morning. Thank you. Anybody else, Bob?
We have Maylin.
Maylin?
I'm Nathan.
Yes.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Mylene Petrine, Director of Legal and Regulatory Affairs at the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards.
Thank you.
We have Rhiannon.
Brianna? Anyone from the public who hasn't introduced himself during roll, go ahead and speak up, please.
Yes, Beckett. This is Don Schiff, LMT number 23463, representing AMTA Oregon. I'm the government relations chair, and I live in Beaverton.
Thank you, Don. Do we have anybody else on
Just Rhiannon, LMT 28082.
there? Is that a call or Rhiannon?
Right there on the bottom, RL.
Can you hear us? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on since we have that info. Let's go ahead and look at last meeting's agenda. We're going to go on to today's agenda. Are there any changes or corrections to be made at this time? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
I make a motion to approve today's agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Are there any discussions regarding the minutes from the March 23rd, 2026 board meeting? If there are none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the March 23rd meeting?
So move.
Second.
Danica, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We'll go ahead and move on to board business and turn it over to Director Ruark.
Thank you. Okay, board members, so 10 months into the 25-27 biennium, the board's budget is approximately 110% funded for this time in the biennium, not overall for the biennium. With income as of April 30th of $1,362,214, and expenses of approximately $993,044. Of note, these expenditures do not include the payroll payment for April 2026, which I have not received yet. So in this attached report, you'll find on the far right, you will see I estimated April's payroll. And adding that estimate payment increases the total expenditures to approximately $1,071,170 through April 30th, 2026. Which is about $96,731 under our budget projection for expenses, which is good, where we want to be. With the April payroll added, our estimated net income for the first 10 months of this biennium was $291,170. So why that is important is because generally over the last couple of biennium, we've had a negative balance almost every month. There's been some months where we've had a positive, but we're starting to actually get our reserves back up to where they need to be. So as of April 30th, 2026, our bank balance was $634,444, which is equal to approximately 5 months of working capital. We had been operating about 2 months of working capital for the last several months. However, keep in mind that this balance does not reflect the April payroll payment. After that estimate payment is deducted, our bank balance will be about $556,000, which is approximately 4.5 months of working capital. If you look at the attached profit loss statement, the column to the left shows our income and the expenditures per line item from July 2025. That column right there just needs to go away. That's my budget and financial report. So any questions about that? All right. I'm going to move on to our strategic DEI plan progress report. So I had planned for this particular board meeting to have our strategic plan. Let me go back a little bit. So the governor's office, as per requirements, require us to update our strategic plan, our DEI plan, and our DEI plan or strategic plan by June 1st of every year. It is actually a survey where we go in and we do this quick little survey. I can print it out and show you guys, but it's kind of like, are you making progress on your plan? What kind of progress did you make? Things like that. So I was going to do that, but I decided what I'd do is just kind of give you a brief rundown of where we are with our strategic plan. What I want to do is I want to bring in the strategic plan, put it up on the board and actually go through line item by line item. But I'd like to do that at our business meeting, so we have time to discuss it. So we are in the 3rd year of our 5-year strategic plan, and the board has made tremendous progress. After looking at it, going over it, we've made a lot of progress in that strategic plan. So our strategic plan is posted on our website and is available for review by anybody at any time. I'm going to provide you a quick update to show the progress soon, but here's a quick rundown. So one of our strategic plan goals was a process review. So it was a full process review of everything that we do with the board. And the board has reviewed each of its current policies, except for one. They have one policy left to finish reviewing. And all of them have been either rescinded or rewritten and approved. So we have a policy manual now. Previously, we had policies from 1985 and 1979 and 2005 and, COVID policies and all these different things. So now we have an actual good policy manual that we can put together. We're waiting for this last policy to get done. Once the board approves that, I'm going to put together a policy manual, attach it to our board website and to the board packet. So the board will have it. The board wanted all of our meetings recorded and placed on the website for people to view. That has been completed and is current. The board wished staff to have Q&A sessions with our LMTs. We've had 2 meetings. We're in the process of scheduling them quarterly. We've had great feedback about our Q&A meetings. We had minor attendance at the first meeting. The second meeting, we had quite a bit more attendance. And we're hoping that as we continue these meetings, we'll get a lot more attendance. The board wishes to improve communication with LMTs and stakeholders. As I'll go over later, we actually, the board did this survey to try to see how best to communicate with LMTs, what's a good time, all that stuff. So we're working on that. And so that's our process review rundown. The second thing the board wanted to do was a scope of practice review. Our scope of practice, or your scope of practice as LMTs, is outdated. The board wanted to update that scope of practice with modern language. As a primer to updating our scope of practice, the board tasked staff with reestablishing a working relationship with our trade organizations and reestablishing the committee process. Both of those have been accomplished. The board currently has a review of the LMT scope of practice on its to-do list, and it'll be forthcoming. We have had some committees. I'll talk about that a little bit later. It's been a little rough out of the chute because we're reestablishing stuff we haven't had for 6 years. And so there's some things we need to improve, but we're getting that going. The third goal was to tackle the illicit massage businesses. In this area, the board had several goals for staff. The board wanted OBMT to be a leader in the fight against illicit massage businesses, locally and nationwide. And I think we're certainly held in this regard, both locally and nationally. The board wanted staff to educate the public, LMTs, landlords, legislators, police, etc., about the IMB problem and to be a resource for those entities. The board also wanted staff to collaborate with others by attending training, summits, and encouraging a multidisciplinary approach. We have accomplished a lot in that area. In fact, we attend several meetings, and I know that Jeff will go over a little bit of some of the outreach he's done with regards to the legislator, not the legislators, but local government entities. So we made a lot of strides in that. The fourth goal was leadership development. The board again had several goals regarding leadership development, specifically developing this board and board staff as leaders within the community. The board wanted staff to attend association trade organization meetings to give those members a chance to have a Q&A session. We've attended one of those. Both Mitch and Jeff attended a trade association meeting, their annual meeting, and it went over really, really well. We had another one that just recently happened, but we were unable to attend due to staffing issues. We have attended a meeting with one trade organization. The board wanted staff to conduct outreach in many ways, including being guest speakers at conferences or schools. Many of our staff have attended many in-person and online meetings where we've been asked to speak and answer questions about OBMT. I know that Christian has done outreach with some of the schools where he's been asked to speak and have a Q&A session with the schools, with new staff and or with new LMTs and their staff. So we've made a lot of strides in that area. Staff growth is the last goal, and each of these goals has several sort of sub goals under them. So I'm just doing a quick overview. We'll go over this more when we have our annual or our meeting coming up. The board wanted to constantly improve the efficiency of our office by providing staff with training opportunities, as well as eventually increasing staff by one full-time employee. This is ongoing. We have sent many of our staff members to training, including leadership training. I know that Akaite is attending a leadership training right now. That's several months. She's doing wonderful. I'm getting a lot of good feedback. So this is a quick snapshot of some of the progress we've made on our strategic plan. At either our next board meeting or our traveling board meeting, our business meeting, I'll have a better presentation for you. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown. So any questions about that? And our DEI plan is embedded within our strategic plan. And so I'll go over that more at our meeting we have upcoming. So. Questions at all? I'll go on to the next topic, the Executive Director 360 review. So Governor Kotek established a Director 360 review process that evaluates each agency director who reports to the governor every 2 years. It is designed to gather multi-source feedback from peers, direct reports, board members, and other stakeholders to provide a balanced view of performance. I was last reviewed 2 years ago, and my review will be due in July. The review is conducted by DAS HR in cooperation with our board chair. That process will be starting soon. I want to make the board aware that the final review will be ready for the board or board review at the input at the July board meeting. So we just started it. I provided HR, myself and Akaite had a meeting with HR and the governor's contact for the Director's 360 review. And we provided a list of potential people to send this review to. It's basically a survey. And then the process from there, I'm out of that process and it goes to our board chair who's going to be working with HR. And they have Akaite working as a staff member who can provide them any kind of support they need with regards to paperwork and things like that. So that's up to me. Any questions about anything in the director's report?
Doesn't look like it. Okay.
I do want to say, actually, I'm sorry about that. One more thing. FSMTV, so I attended, so the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards held their executive summit in April in Rhode Island. I attended this summit, which was fully paid for by FSMTV. I was also asked to be a speaker to specifically talk about our public outreach Q&A sessions. They had a session, break kind of a session on public outreach. And they had 3 individuals, me being one of them, to talk about some of the successes in public outreach. And so I was able to present that. I had a lot of feedback after I presented that information. I had a lot of people come up to me and ask about it. There's a lot of interest in doing that in their, at their agency and their state. The summit was well attended and very informative. It was a wonderful opportunity to network and share ideas with other directors across the nation. So I found it very beneficial, as I always do. It was a great thing. And that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, if that's it, at this point, we'll turn it over to Jeff for compliance and licensure.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Licensure, it's been a nice couple months in licensure. Everything's flowing very well. The biggest information I have regarding licensure is that Director Ruark and Mr. Breedlove and the rest of us all put together a plan to divide our giant conference room into a smaller, more effective conference room, and then providing us with a nice storage area to store our files that are still lounging around in boxes under tables and things like that. So that has already been completed. It turned out fantastic. Mitch and I have already built the shelving in there, and we're just to the point now of going through our archive, so to speak, and flushing out those that can be destroyed and then filing those properly in the storage area. We're applying a little bit of overtime to that project because we just don't have time to work on that and get our regular jobs done. So over the next month, I'm hoping we'll get that completed. Moving on to compliance. Compliance has been a little busier. Want to report that investigator Sarah Steele is elected to resign her contract. That's unfortunate. She's doing a great job, but she decided that it just wasn't a good fit for her and her place that she's at right now. But we definitely want to thank Sarah for her good work and all the help that she's provided the board and the public. It's not horrible timing because one of the PIs from our contractor recruitment that we did several months ago, they had an issue that required them to start with us late, and they're just coming on board right now. And so Mitch and I have a training day scheduled with them in the next week or 2. We should have investigator Michael Bell up and running. He's retired local law enforcement here in Marion County. He's located here in Salem. He's eager and ready to go, and we're looking forward to getting him out there doing the board's work. Well, great news, I'm excited about this, is we got our forms, the placard sticker and the placard, fill it out before you stick it, forms, approved and in the print shop. We've already got the NCR forms back and we're expecting the sticker stock for the placards to be in as early as today, even.
Question?
Yes,
Is this a placard like thin metal or is it a?
it's a sticker that, we went with the state,
Nice.
went with the state's printing and design services. They turned out to be very pleasant to work with, very talented, and very well priced. And one of the things about making this sticker based on Bob and my experience in law enforcement, they had stickers for tagging cars on the side of the freeway that you've probably seen them. ODOT uses them, state police uses them, and then many of the other law enforcement agencies do as well. They're very sticky. And they're very, that you can kind of feel on this, if you want to pass it around, it's kind of got a waxy finish to it that's water resistant and
That was my question is it gonna hold up to rain hitting it?
should do a great job at that. They're very difficult to get off, which we didn't want them to be easy to get off.
Right.
And again, there's a lot to be tested to see how this works out. Mitch and I already have a list of all the locations that the board wanted to placard from the last meeting, and we were ready to roll out and apply those placards as soon as they arrive. All of those facilities that you elected to placard have gone through the due process part, and they are ready according to our current policies and procedures on this. I know the committee is still working on finalizing some of that, but we have enough in place to get this out and rolling as soon as possible. And then hopefully at the next meeting, we'll have more briefing on how the landlords, local law enforcement, neighbors, public, and those operating the businesses respond to the placards.
I notice some of the restaurants every time I go somewhere, you know, so I'm guessing people already have that in their head, like they'll start seeing it.
I don't remember if I mentioned this at the last meeting, I think I may have, but one of the other states that is doing something similar, theirs is a bright yellow, it's about half that size, but it's got a reputation of shutting these places down. And on those illicit websites where they do their reviews, now you see them referring to the yellow sticker of death, which means that the board got in there and closed that place down. And I'm hoping they get that reputation for us as well.
I like this, multicolored, big,
Stands out.
not
It's
gonna be
got
missed.
human trafficking information on it.
Yeah.
It's good. At the March meeting, Mitch and I briefed you about a new group of DOJ agents and analysts who have been assigned their own project that focuses on the IMB problem. As in a broader sense, it includes money laundering and organized crime and other aspects as well. I was a little skeptical, but I got to tell you, this relationship has grown. They meet with us regularly. They are going all across the state to law enforcement agencies that have requested assistance or we've helped them identify problem areas. And they go in with a model where they support and teach local law enforcement how to investigate these in a variety of manners, depending on how the agency wants to attack them. And then help them with the writing of the search warrants and the arrest warrants and everything. And then when they leave after doing that, hopefully successful investigation, they leave them with a boilerplate of how to do it again and again without DOJ presence. So they're going around kind of like training the trainers around the state, and that has actually worked out really well. They have, one of the nice things is DOJ listened to us, and one of the things that they're arresting or prosecuting the individuals in these cases, you know, we don't want to take the worker who may be trafficked and make them an additional victim, especially of putting a label of prostitution or something like that on them. And that's completely understandable. The district attorneys don't want to do that either. But because the legislature saw fit, and properly so, to make our violations or any misdemeanor crimes into felonies on the second offense, they are charging the girls with practicing without a license, which is an A misdemeanor. And if they are convicted of that, then if they repeat that again, they'll be looking at a felony. And we've already had feedback on that to DOJ, with the gal saying, well, then I'm just not coming back, I'm going back to New York. So, which was kind of our, so hopefully that continues as well. We will be in touch with DOJ probably every couple of weeks, I think. Something that came in just at the very end of me completing this report, which was, I just love this. The city of Gresham, their compliance department, sent us a letter thanking the board and staff for their support. Their ordinance and their system that they adopted in their city has resulted in the permanent closing of 5 illicit facilities in the city. They said, your partnership has been essential in the closing of these illicit businesses. Thank you. And so that is a success story, and we hope that that continues. And it's nice to be recognized for being a part of that. And like Director Ruark was saying, we're doing the reaching out, we're doing the education, we're providing them with resources and information, and then hopefully, just like DOJ's model, they will continue to operate that without us having to be involved, so we can go spend our time on the next city or the next problem. And that model seems to be working pretty well right now. That's the end of my report, Chair. If anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And we will turn that back on over to Director Ruark.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair. So the next topic is our SEBA report, which is a semi-independent board report. Every 2 years, this report is due to LFO, Legislative Fiscal Office. And they get all the semi-independent board reports together, and they do a presentation to the legislators about what was going on with our board the previous biennium. So it's a lengthy report. It's something that I work on all year long by keeping stats and trying to get as much information, gather as much information as I can. And then when it's time to push the button, it's go time for a couple of months to put this report together. It was due April 1st. I submitted it. It certainly can be corrected if the board wants any corrections made to it. The SEBA report, like I said, they take all the semi-independent boards. I think there's about 12 of them. And they do a snapshot of the information, and then they do the presentation to the legislatures at the next legislative session. And they provide that report to us as well and to the legislators. And if any of the legislators want us to come and testify, they'll request for us to come and testify about anything that they have questions about. So there it is. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it. And it's, like I said, it's very lengthy. It's a big report, and it covers everything from our stats to our budget. Of note, though, if you note that our last budget period, our last biennium, we had a negative biennium, which that's about the 3rd one in a row. But with our fee increase, we are on track to not have another negative biennium, which is what we need to have. So, any questions about the semi-independent report?
I did have one question on cost constraint measures, just how I was reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. When we have the 21-23 biennium savings, and then the 1-year savings. Was the number specifically a reduction from what was projected in the budget or from what was spent before?
So those numbers come from previous to you choosing to do a fee increase. I was trying to show the board what we were doing to try to cut costs, prior to doing a fee increase. So those numbers are prior to that. They occurred during the biennium or the previous year's biennium, basically. So it's kind of goes back a ways. It's just I wanted to give you guys the history of the cost cutting measures that we've had. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions at all?
I mean, I think most of it looks like stuff that we have reviewed it. We review every meeting. So
Yeah,
it just looks
absolutely,
like an aggregation of that. I
Yeah.
don't have anything. Carol, do you have anything? Sure. Okay.
I'm good. I read it.
At this point, I know we need to review it, and you said it's already been submitted, so at this point, we do not need to take a vote on this?
You need to take a vote to approve it.
Okay, but it has already been submitted.
It has, and you can approve it as submitted.
Thank you.
If you have any corrections to it, then you can make that motion to correct it. So,
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the SEBA report as submitted?
I so move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Let's go ahead and move on to the Rules Committee update.
absolutely, and I'm gonna turn it over to Akaipe.
Okay.
Put you on the spot.
Let's do this. Good morning, everyone. So the Rules Committee had their meeting on April 24th, 2026. They went over a bulk of the items that the board had assigned to them. The first one was the placket, which they have moved over to the board for approval, which we had the liberty of reviewing, or not we, the board had the opportunity to review and provide feedback and move on today. The other was the CPR, and then we also had the mandatory reporting training as something that the board had assigned to the committee to review. And they did that, and as you can see in the rules that they have proposed, the rules language they have proposed here, they went through all of the rules where it does state the basic life support and move that to cross that out and replace the language with CPR. And the language is there for you to review. I hope you've all had a chance to do so. Do you have any questions?
So basically, the language changes the basic life support requirement back to CPR. And they added that it needs to meet some qualifications, and they put those down. And then they added mandatory reporter training to the list of acceptable CEs, continuing education.
Okay, no questions?
I do have I just have a thought about the CPR. I don't have any problem with how it's written, but I know one of the consequences of the old wording that we would like to get rid of was that ability to take, say, to pay literally $15 and take a 10-question quiz online and get your certification, which it would still be in there. You know, so I'm a little concerned about that. Basically, we have the training mill that is allowed, and that's primarily comes up because of the BLS. I don't know, do we have any way, or is that something that concerns anyone else? Do we have any possible workarounds for that? Because with the BLS, I feel like it's something people sort of had to do, but it also doesn't meet the goal of CPR training. Yeah.
One of the concerns they had in the meeting was that if you had a higher level of training than BLS, it wasn't acceptable. So they wouldn't be able to include that, but also like, you know, CPR, you're generally gonna be yourself in a room alone with one person, and BLS is set up for a more robust situation. But
yeah, and that's, I think, nail on the head of what we've been talking about. My concern though is just, we all know because BLS 80% of it was not applicable to massage settings. So people have kind of gotten in the habit of, you can literally pay like under $25 and probably take about 10 minutes online to do just a quick quiz and get your certification, that you can't fail or anything. And it you know, it's not meeting any training goal. Whereas say American Heart Association or Red Cross, you can spend an hour, spend $50 and you actually get it's really good training. How do we get people back to the good training? Because we know if we don't put it in here, there won't be workarounds. So is there any way we can go toward?
Yeah.
I think the board tried to, or the committee tried to do that when they added the language that meets the standard of the American Heart Association, Occupational Safety and Health Administration compliant CPR provider or its equivalent. Now, I think you're not going to eliminate the online people. As much as you want to try to do that, I think that somebody will find a workaround to be able to do that. And I mean, I think you could write a paragraph and a half or 5 paragraphs to try to get any loophole. But I think you have to be general and you know.
I think I'm you know, maybe one consideration would be that getting your CP or getting this checked off your box of requirements as a health practitioner doesn't necessarily count as a CE. You know, if you want an hour CE, you know, we can look at that. If your CPR card comes from one of these mills that we know takes no time, maybe that is not going to give you your CE credit, and that could be something we could discuss on that end.
Well, you know, CPR hasn't changed a lot over the years. I mean, it has a little bit, and I understand there's tweaks and things like that. But in school, as LMTs, you have to take an in-person CPR class.
No, you don't.
In school, you don't?
No, you don't.
So in school, they just,
No, you don't.
they give you a card?
You don't do anything in school. You just have to take it on your own before your license.
For the BLS, but that was an in-person class.
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean, my first one I did in person, and I felt like I read somewhere that that was a requirement that it had to be, but maybe I just. Oh.
So you're sort of proposing that it should be all in person. If you're gonna do CPR for.
No, I'm actually not proposing in person. Actually, the Red Cross and Heart Association training, I believe there's a lot of objective data to show the online training is better than in person for retention. Those are fantastic. I'm talking about you're literally just paying for a card.
Okay, so
And
you want it to be specific.
That you can get a BLS card. I mean, I could show it at the next meeting. We could do the test in like 10 minutes, get everything wrong and still get a card.
Is it going to meet the AHA OSHA?
Yes, and I know it has because a lot of us have that card. I personally have it.
I personally have it.
See, it's how we've been meeting this requirement.
Yeah.
It's not meeting any educational or health goal. So, you know, if we continue to do that, fine, but you shouldn't get an hour of CPR, like hour of CE for it. So I don't know, it's one of those things, like I don't want to be having a conversation in 6 months about the unintended consequence if we didn't actually improve anything.
It's gonna be tricky because you'd have to pick out specific ones that would be accepted and specific ones that wouldn't.
Yeah, you have to exclude.
That'd be really difficult.
I have a concern about this. It makes me think about other kinds of continuing education, not just the CPR, used to be BLS requirement. And that, for example, you know, ethics classes, and there are all kinds of classes that people take online that are poor quality and perhaps people don't learn very much, but they get their hour or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is to meet a requirement. And it seems to me that the board has had a long-standing history and philosophy of not engaging in the process of vetting the quality of various kinds of continuing ed. And I'm wondering if this is like weird, tricky territory for us to consider vetting some kinds of CPR classes and saying they're great and others saying, no, they're not great. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on this.
Yeah, I happen to agree with her that So the last time, 2015 was the last time the board went specifically to the CEs. I was there, it was a business meeting, and the board went through every CE and sort of reshaped the whole environment of how CEs were accepted. Because we're having CEs that had nothing to do with massage and they were kind of way out of context. And the board discussed quite a bit about how they were going to manage that. There was a rubric that the board kind of put together about, what to accept and what not to accept. And right now, just the way that it is, it makes it very difficult for the one staff member we have to kind of determine what the board wants to accomplish and what training is acceptable, what's not acceptable. And
well, that's why we have a scope.
yeah, and
So
if
the
she's,
definition of the scope.
yeah, and that's easy, but there's a lot of interpretation of what that scope means. People interpret those words a little differently at times. And I think we've got a kind of a handle on it. I know that our CE person, Rowena, would very much love to see the board tackle the CE problem and make some good improvements on it. I think, and looking at our strategic plan, the board wants to review CEs. It's in the queue, and it's coming down. It just hasn't reached. It's not in front of the line yet. We're trying to get all the little things done first, so we can make that big project the focus of the board. That doesn't solve what you guys are discussing right now, but I wanted to give you a little bit of history about some of the things that that's been going on. And right now, to accomplish, I think what you want to accomplish, you would have to have an exclusion list, and I think that would be hard to manage.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a conversation about it, and I think that's fine. I just want to know what it's always this issue, right, of like, what the heck's the point of doing CEs?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't have an equality, if you can literally just buy certificates, then why do we deny any CE?
Yeah.
When you have two types of LMTs, you have those that go out and get expensive, meaningful, personal, supervised CEs in areas that they're not only interested in, to benefit their practice and their clients, and you have others that just get everything done on a shoestring at a very minimum level. And honestly, my experience, you're not changing that until we find a way to do that.
Even when you've been trained, like, I had a medical emergency with the client a couple months ago. During pre-deployment training, I still freaked out and panicked and forgot what I was doing.
Call 911.
Yeah, called 911. They were like, oh, this is what you do. And I was like, okay, cool, got it.
Yeah.
Right? But like, there's.
Director Ruark just saved somebody just a few weeks ago.
I did.
And I don't know the last time you had CPR training.
A long time ago as a police officer. So I had my next door neighbor died in his driveway and I brought him back to life. So,
You did?
Yeah.
When did knowledge of CPR?
CPR, yep, absolutely. I walked outside to check on my car. Old guys walk around the property. That's kind of what I was doing. And I saw my neighbor on the ground and went over there and started CPR on him and got him breathing again, got his heart beating again, and he got transported and he was in the hospital for quite a while and he's out now since July. So, yeah, it worked.
I like I said, I just again wanted to have this conversation. I mean, for those of us who've been on the board a long time, anytime we have these conversations, it comes up because it's like, well, why are we doing any CEs? Because as you were having the conversation in the last 2 minutes, I literally just took the quiz and got a card, $15.
I think.
So, I mean, like, it's really that easy. So I think you're right, though, that people who want to get around it can. But it's always worth revisiting because we know whatever we put in, somebody's gonna come back and say, well, I got this denied. You say you don't care about the quality, why'd you deny mine? And like, this is an ongoing issue. So I just wanted to flesh it out,
Yeah.
but I think the writing of it is helpful. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that when you, as a board, propose some language and go through the committee process with regards to rewriting the CE idea. There's a lot of ideas floating out there, including, just saying we're gonna accept all CEs that meet this certification. We're going, there's a lot of ways to handle that. I think if you're going to revamp those, which the board has said that they wanted to do, that I think you should look at it from a broad perspective to not rule out anything, from letting somebody else manage it to being more intensively managed by the board to somewhere in the middle. And I think if you look at all of those and get a lot of input from the stakeholders and LMTs, I think we can do a real positive change on the way that we accept CEs. So.
Okay, any other questions about any of the?
Big thanks to the committee and the Coyote for getting that done for us.
The Coyote, regarding this language the committee proposed, does that move forward from here if the board approves it through the process?
Yes.
So the board would have to approve the language and then move it to the process from there, the rules making process. Here.
Yeah, that's why I just want to make sure we don't have any other questions before we go ahead and do this. Hate to send stuff back and forth, so make sure we have all this conversation before we can take any votes. Nobody has any other questions? Okay. Then we can go ahead and we basically just have a proposal to move forward with the language as submitted or as proposed.
To issue rulemaking, to initiate rulemaking.
Is it to direct the, to just, motion to initiate the rulemaking process? And then that takes care of you giving everything to the committee?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, can we get a motion to initiate the rulemaking process?
I make a motion to initiate rulemaking process.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Yes, thank you to the committee. Absolutely. Okay, then we can go ahead and move on to the survey.
Yeah, absolutely. So this survey, I presented to you at the last board meeting. We left it open because we wanted to give the opportunity for anybody else that might want to provide input. I think it's closed now. Maybe it might still be open. But I checked it on Friday. We had almost 500 responses, which is really good for a survey. Any survey I've ever done, that's maybe the most I've ever got. And if you look at the data, it's not surprising that the major metropolitan areas are where we have the most LMTs. I think the one data point that's might be helpful is please specify your city of residence. It's also not going to be surprising, but I think this will be helpful when the board wants to reach out to a particular area about something that may be occurring. If the board is having a meeting at, let's say, the coast, or having a traveling meeting in Bend or something like that, we can not only send out the blast to everybody, but also maybe focus on that particular area as well. I think it also gives us a great opportunity to understand how our LMTs want us to communicate with them, which was the purpose of this meeting. And it looks like overwhelmingly it is, they like email and they kind of like monthly updates. So starting very soon, I'm going to do a little monthly update that we can send out an email blast to our LMTs, kind of letting them know what the board is doing, what the board staff is doing. We will get a little pushback, just so you know. There's a lot of people that don't like getting emails. So we'll get a little bit of pushback from that, even though overwhelmingly it looks like that's how they prefer it. Even when we send out meeting notices, we get people say, take me off your list, I hate you. Quit sending me stuff, you're spamming me, things like that. Isn't that right, Eka? Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be very helpful. And so that's the data. Any questions about the data? I think it's not surprising.
I noticed that the preferred frequency of communication was monthly. How are we going to address that?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I think that what I'm going to do is, starting soon, I don't have a target date yet. I hope to be able to by the next meeting. What I would like to do is send out a monthly email blast, letting them know what's going on with the board, what's going on with committees, what's going on with staff. Things that are coming up, things that we're doing. And I'd like to have one of those done by the next board meeting so I can present it to the board. You can look at it, see if that's kind of what you think we should be sending out. Or you can tweak it and say, I'd like you to add more of this or less of that, more cowbell, whatever. And we can go from there, so. Does that sound good, Carol? I think that's the way, okay.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Thank you.
That's good.
Okay. Any other questions or feedback on the survey?
Big thanks to the staff for doing this. It's nice to know.
Yeah, absolutely. This is all, I feel like this is all really helpful to have fleshed out, especially before we go into our business meeting. People have questions about stuff, so thank you. Okay, then we can go ahead and move on to the traveling meeting update.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that, and then I might be able to kind of give you some logistics stuff. The board had previously decided to have the 2026 board business meeting in Ashland, at the Ashland Institute Massage. And that is, they're unavailable to host that. Just simply because they don't have the space to be able to do that. They have some other previous engagements that came up. And since we had that board meeting this last time down south, we think that the board should discuss maybe having that meeting at a different location. And some of the ideas that Akaite and myself had kind of thought about was we have not had a board meeting over at the coast in several years. I think it's been 2016, I think it was the last time, maybe even before that, maybe 2014 was the last time we had one in that area. And we haven't had one in Portland for several years. So those are two ideas that we wanted to throw out there, but it's up to the board where they want to have this next board meeting. They want to continue and us look for something different down south, or do you want to move it to the coast, or do you want to move it to Portland or someplace else?
Or the east.
Yeah, or the east. I mean, it can be anywhere.
When was the last time that it was held somewhere east? Wherever east would be, Ontario, La Grande, Baker Last City. east where we had it, and was the closest one we've had to the east, that's Central Oregon. That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever, since I've been here, we've never had one east, like way eastern Oregon. We sort of go to Bend, and the idea being that just kind of provides a
Midway point.
yeah,
Central.
It's really not. But I'm not proposing.
No,
to
no,
have it
I
in the east
understand.
anyway.
well, population wise, we think that there's quite a bit of massage therapists in the Bend area, and Bend, Redmond, and kind of that area over there. And the population, even though it's important, the population of massage therapists in the east is very small. We're trying to, in this meeting, to reach as many people as we possibly can. And, to be able to make them have access to, or not make them, give them access to the board. So that's why we haven't had one way east.
That's really supported in the survey too. I mean, they do have Mountain East, but it's very limited by comparison, but Deschutes has a pretty big chunk.
Yeah.
So you kind of get some of the Easterners if they're willing to come that far, and a big chunk of Deschutes, which is nice.
Where
But we've
is,
been to
What
Bend
would
here,
Melissa
so-
like?
no, I don't care. Where is a school on the coast?
Well, we wouldn't be doing it at a school at the coast. Last time we went to the coast, we went to Seaside. The idea was that might draw some people from Portland area. I think it was Seaside, right, Yvette? Yeah. The idea was that it might draw some people from the Portland area. They have they can go shoot right down the highway there. And people from the coast. It was fairly well attended, if I remember correctly, and we did get some people from the Portland area that came to that particular meeting.
But
That was the
Bob,
last one.
we also thought for Hood River, we would also get Portland people too,
Mhm.
and we didn't. We had
Oh, another big change is that we now have the hybrid online meetings and we didn't back then. So they had to come in person
That's true,
or they couldn't
okay,
attend. Now
Good
they
point.
can attend
good point.
by laptop. So
It looks like, I just looked, Tillamook, Astoria, and Seaside, it's about an hour and 15 minutes from Portland.
I don't think a lot of people are gonna drive an hour and 15 minutes to come to our board meeting if they can log on, honestly. Like, I think we do get the best attendance when we're closest to a school, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't go to that area. I just don't think it's actually gonna be a big pull. I think if we wanna get people from Portland, we're probably gonna have to go to Portland.
That's why I was wondering if there even was a school over on the coast.
There's not.
And we don't always go to a school, you know, most of the time, we don't, we try to. Some of them don't have the ability to host us, but we always offer that. So,
Ray worked at that resort in Seaside, our fellow board member.
mhm.
So, I mean, we know there's some kind of spa over there.
There's quite a few LMTs at the coast.
we do have some compliance issues in Seaside that we've been addressing and we've got a handle on, but it wouldn't be bad to go over
That would be
from a
helpful.
compliance standpoint.
I mean, could we go
Guilty
for
for
a spa or something?
We would probably do a hotel conference room. I think, like in Seaside, the last time we were there, we had a hotel conference room and, worked out really well for us. Going to a spa, I think logistically, that might be a little bit more difficult, unless they had a big conference space like this, because, you know, we want to have enough room. If we get a lot of people that want to attend, we want to be able to provide that for them, so.
Lincoln City's kind of centralized on the coast, and there's a lot of choices that we could work out there. So, I mean, you're halfway between Newport and Seaside for the most part.
Compliance stuff going on in Lincoln City or Newport?
I'm sure it's not gonna be a problem.
We'll find something.
We'll find something, don't
I
worry
mean,
about
they
that.
do have a casino.
But
Yeah.
if
This is true.
but if you have more compliance stuff in Seaside, that would probably be a better area.
There's just a handful there.
Okay, all right.
It'll be about the same about anywhere we go,
Yeah,
Okay.
it will be.
except for Easter.
So if the board wishes to have it at the coast this year, what we will do is we will take into account the population in the locations, as well as what's available,
Yeah.
giving the short notice. And then we'll bring something back to you in July to make an.
Yeah, we'll give you options. We just kind of need a geographical location for,
When is the last time we've been to Portland?
I'm gonna say it was 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, right after we had that study done. That study was done in 2015, so it was either 15 or 16.
I would say 16.
Yeah, 16, we were east-west.
Mhm. And then 18 was Seaside.
And then what?
2018 was Seaside.
Yeah, 2018 was.
And when's the last time we were down in Eugene?
That would have been before.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Okay, so I mean, it's been over 10 years since we've been to,
Absolutely.
when we're looking at the survey data, the most populous counties are Lane, Multnomah Lane, and then Washington.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if we're looking at over 10 years since we've been to those places and they're our most highest population density, you know, maybe that's a better way to
Eugene
approach it.
I think Eugene was probably,
Eugene we tried to go to, but we had to revamp because we couldn't get hotels because of the Olympic trials.
Right.
That's what happened, but we had planned to go there.
it's been a couple times that's happened.
Now, if we did Eugene, would we do the massage school down there?
We got to ask them.
They,
What would you recommend, Becca?
no, because they don't have that, no, they don't have the building anymore. They only have like 2 classrooms, so they don't have the facility like they had at one time that is being leased out to other people. So we don't have that kind of
We
conflict.
still extend an invitation for the students to come.
Right, yeah.
But Eugene Springfield's big, Portland, like the Gresham area, like I think there's gotta be some, it seems like those are our population densities, and if it's been 10 to 12 years since we've been there.
Yeah, that's true. We can try that again. We had that on the agenda and that debate.
Eugene or Springfield, whichever you can.
Maybe see which one, like, I hate to box us into Eugene and then we find out, like, literally
Something's going on.
track is going on.
School is starting.
Is school, right, so, like, but I don't know, I think we could maybe look at either one of those since it's been so long and then decide at our July meeting. Gonna let us know where it has the best options.
For the Eugene area?
Only the best.
Okay,
For the Eugene area?
or Portland, like, guys, if you can let us know which.
Well, I think we should choose one right now, and that way she doesn't have to do double the work. And I'd say.
Well, what if we prioritize Eugene and if it looks horrible, then the plan B would be Portland?
I second that vote.
Let's, okay. Yeah, we need to make sure, so we just at this point give instruction to staff to look at those 2 areas and come back to July and we can make a final
I
determination.
think you use Springfield first, if that doesn't pan out. Portland area.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it can be Eugene Springfield, because they're next door neighbors, right? So if there's something on the.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then we can go ahead and move on to the all schools meeting.
Okay,
I
yeah.
thought so, because we're just setting a date.
Yeah, just setting a date, for the all schools meeting. Plenty of time out, so we can, make sure the schools have plenty of notice.
August is good.
You usually say September.
Usually August.
August.
Because it's before they start their term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can we go with roughly the same time as last year? Like, find the closest date that works for staff?
I think it was somewhere mid-August.
Well, since this is primarily staff related, I feel like you need to let us know what is the best date for you all. Since it literally doesn't matter if we're there, but you have to be.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, we can look at August, okay?
Yeah, last time we had it August 20th.
Okay. And that was what day was that? What day of the
Thursday,
week?
Wednesday.
Okay. You said Wednesday?
August 20th,
Mhm.
last year.
2024.
Okay, so I think if the board is okay with us determining a date in August, I don't know that we have to actually give a date because it's Beckett's right, it's a staff
Yeah.
meeting, basically, that for the all schools, so.
Does it have to be noticed?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
So
need to notice it.
we do need to vote on it.
The all schools meeting has to be noticed? Because we're gonna have board members there, is that why?
Not really, I mean, I've always said that if
But just like a committee meeting, right?
Well,
It's not a meeting that requires notification. It's, unless we're going to have a quorum of board members there, or unless they're,
And it's not a town committee.
no.
it's not a committee
not.
meeting, it's just, we just host a meeting where we have all the schools attend and we tell them what's going on with the board.
So maybe it's more of a Q and A.
Yeah,
That's exactly what
Just
it
like
is.
a, yeah.
But you let them know.
I just.
She just
think
moved
it's
like,
good.
yeah.
I noticed them.
Yeah.
Schools.
Yeah, so they know when they come.
But they're not legally noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
She doesn't mean like a public
So
meeting.
if it's more of a Q&A, it doesn't have to be publicly noticed, we don't need to vote on this, we can just, again, provide instruction, let's set it up for August.
Okay,
Okay.
so the board's okay with that being in August?
Yes.
Director Roark, when you guys figure out a date, can you send us an email as to
We
that
will.
date? Thank you.
Absolutely.
No, I will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll just call it the all schools Q&A,
Yep.
so we know for next year.
Yes.
Okay, that's something we do need to vote on, the FSMTV delegation selection.
Yeah, so the board, or the FSMTV Board of Directors has voted to allow 2 delegates at this meeting as well. They did it for their 20th and it turned out really well, so the FSMTV Board voted to allow it again this year for their annual meeting.
Where is it at this year?
Las Vegas.
In October.
Why are you laughing?
Yeah, but not. Just joking.
And you went last year.
Scott's been. Melissa, you haven't gone to any?
I know, I haven't gone, no.
Yeah.
You haven't
Okay.
gone. Where the new
What
ones?
is, I'm sorry, what are the dates on this again?
The 20th through the 23rd.
It's not October.
Of October? And our,
Yeah.
and
But does
our,
someone go with us? Because I wouldn't know what to do.
I will be there.
Okay.
yeah, and,
Yeah, I'm on the FSMTV Board of Directors.
what are the dates again for the 2-day meeting or traveling meeting?
Oh,
September 11th.
September 25th and 26th.
Okay, perfect. So the way I have this, from previous times, if we're gonna send 2 people, we need to take a vote to send the delegate and then a vote to send,
The
the
alternate.
alternate. That's what we've done in the past, so,
And generally, the delegate traditionally has been the board chair, if the board chair wishes.
I was gonna say, I, did, in the past, I have not been comfortable going to states that have like prohibitively dangerous bathroom bills on the books. I did check safety issues regarding Vegas and it appears that it would be fine, so I'm willing to go this year. I have no problem with that, for this convention as the delegate.
You should get one in during your chairmanship.
Right, I did go to DC too.
Oh, that's right.
3 years ago, yeah. So yes, I can go this year, and I feel like it's if that was an issue to anyone else, that's the situation.
Do we need to vote for the delegate?
Yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah,
I move to send Beckett as our delegate.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And we need to send an alternate. Again, it's, from everyone who's gone, we can tell you, it's not hard once you get there, they walk you through everything. It's kind of overwhelming, it's a lot of conference, it's a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of, peopling. But the actual things you have to do are not gonna be beyond anyone. They really do a great training and it's really fantastic how they walk you through it. So, who is interested in going and
And it's a Wednesday through a Friday. So Jake, the 21st to the 23rd, Wednesday through Friday.
Minus travel days and how it gets arranged, but yes.
I would like to go. I haven't been yet. Also.
Well, is this, everything done also wants to know, is it, do we have the opportunity to send more people?
I was just gonna ask that.
well, so FSMTV is going to pay for 2, a delegate and an alternate. And if the board wants to send an additional individual, then we would have to pay for it.
I feel like we have been so underrepresented since
Absolutely.
COVID that I feel like that would be, if we have people who are willing and have the time this year, I feel like We should look at that,
I
because
will-
we haven't had the availability in the
I will
past.
say, prior to COVID, I know Kate, the previous director, wanted to make sure that all the board members had attended at least one of these meetings. And we had sent, I know the one in Arizona, the one that I went to as the compliance person, I think she sent 3 board members because they were all brand new. So it's, prior to COVID, that was a very standard practice that we tried to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to attend a meeting because it's very beneficial and it's the ability to network nationally. And I think it reaffirms the job that you're doing because you meet people that are going through the same exact thing that you're going through. And you have the ability to discuss with them what's going on in our community, and you'll find out that everybody else is going through the same thing, so.
It also gives the newer board members an opportunity to witness the process for the annual meeting, which can be overwhelming if you're just thrown into it the first time. And watch it without the responsibility, and then you're like, oh yeah, I could come back next year and do that, no problem. And I think that's huge as well.
Yeah, and I will say that if you're going to send, this is a great meeting to do it because it's close.
It's cool.
Yeah.
We're not going to Alabama or Florida or something like that.
Or Rhode Island.
Yeah, Rhode Island, which would cost quite a bit of money. So, I mean, this would be a fairly inexpensive meeting and a great opportunity to send any board members that may want to attend. I think it's
I'd like to make a motion to send Danica and Melissa, and for the board to pay for the additional.
Do we have to do that as 2 separate with the paying, or can we roll it together?
I think it just, I guess you could see if there's like sort of like generally accord that everybody's okay with that, then you don't need to do separate motions, like necessarily. It's just more of like, if somebody's gonna vote no against one person and not the other, like that's the other.
We need a vote for them, but do we need a specific vote to send an extra person that we're paying for, because they're gonna be 2 separate?
Yeah, I mean, like Bob would just wanna look, from budgetary, like that's up to.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we send Melissa as the alternative.
Second, all in favor of sending Melissa as the alternate?
Aye.
Opposed?
What would the, you can't give the answer now with the budget.
We have to,
Close
this
the
would
vote
be
first.
we have to do the vote first.
I didn't vote.
Right.
Hold on a second, this is the one FSMTV is funding. So,
Oh, this is for the
Yes.
FSMT.
Delegate,
Yes.
the delegate.
so this is for the alternate to the delegate?
We have an aye.
Okay. So are you gonna abstain from this?
No, you voted aye.
You voted aye? Okay. Then all opposed? Okay, motion carries. So Melissa's the delegate.
Now discussion.
Now discussion on the
The alternate.
board funding position.
Let's make a
Attendee.
motion and then discussion. Right?
Motion and then discussion. I make a motion to send Danica to the FSMBT, October 21st to 23rd, and all the travel with payment by the Oregon Board of Massage Therapists.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I know that we have in the past struggled with making money up in the budget, which we have done a great job of increasing the budget. What does it look like as far as training or travel in the budget versus the cost? Unfortunately, the flights, I've been watching them for everything. The flights are expensive.
Yeah.
So even though it's a short trip to Vegas, it's gonna cost the same this year as it would be to fly to Maine 3 years ago, so to speak. And then, of course, the rest, which would be the hotel and food.
Yeah. So,
One of the nice things is that's one of our budget areas that we have not exploited much in travel and training.
correct.
Bob knows.
Yeah, so that particular budget item, out of state travel, it's a budget item we have, roughly, I think there's $10,000 or something, I usually put in that account. Most of the travel that we do out of state is, for FSMTV, and usually they pay for it. So there's an expenditure that goes out on that line item, and then oftentimes they'll reimburse it back. So if you look at the miscellaneous line item, all of that money and the majority of that money, 99.9% of it, is all reimbursement for in-state travel. So if you look at the line item for out-of-state travel, and if you look at miscellaneous, and you take the miscellaneous off of that, you see where we're at. So roughly, we have about $10,000 in that line item to spend, and we haven't even reached close to that amount.
So I think for the year, we're actually for this biennium, we'd literally be looking at paying for one person to travel out of state, period.
That's right.
That, to me, and I think that feels very reasonable, from my perspective. Any other discussion about that?
Weirdly, Southwest prices are pretty good.
It's Vegas, it's subsidized.
That's like,
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to send Danica as an attendee. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. This will be our biggest contingent in a decade.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
now.
okay. Fantastic, thank you, everyone. Okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to new business. Do any board members have any new business? Anything they'd like to address to have on the agenda for the next meeting?
I think I do.
Yeah.
But I think it involves a question for Jeff. I heard through the grapevine that the esthetician board just came out with their new scope, and I know we battle kind of against them all the time, and I was wondering if you knew anything about that.
No, I'm glad to hear about it. I will reach out and see whether or not that's been published.
There's something about they cannot do any lymphatic massage, so I just wanted to get that.
Good, because we have been pushing them to make a decision and define their scope of practice in that area, because we get a lot of crossover. And our position was the esthetician board should be investigating their own licensees regarding whether that's in the scope of practice or not, and that we shouldn't be investigating estheticians to see whether or not they are practicing massage without a license. That seems absurd.
Okay.
Although technically valid. And so I'm hopeful that they've made drawn a line in the sand and that it's well defined. I don't know with the rules committee and the things that they have to do, whether it's actually in effect or not, Melissa, but I will do that research.
Okay.
And if you'd like, I can address it in an email directly to you, or I can bring it back to the board.
Just bring it back next.
I was actually gonna ask if we could get could we put that maybe on the business meeting agenda as to get an update on, no?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One of these.
I think she just got a separate.
If we could get an update on that scope of practice at the business meeting, because I think it would help all of us as we go forward with that SOP conversation.
This part, what the
If we could, if we could just get that maybe in that packet for that meeting, and that would help us know.
The reason you had a collective groan, you mentioned lymphatic, that's the hot button right now, with both massage and estheticians.
And the medical board too.
Yeah.
And the medical board,
This
because.
is the buzzword now.
Well, it's because there's some sort of out of scope of practice that's happening from kind of everybody. And so we're trying to define that a little better and who's responsible for investigating those and things. So the reason they said that is because we've had multiple complaints kind of from different areas, and it's a hot button right now. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yes, excellent. I've made a note, I will do all the research I possibly can with my connections over at health licensing to see what's happening and where they are, and then bring that to the business meeting as complete as possible.
Well, it's also because we work with them. Like if someone did work in a spa, we all work together.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we're not trying to be against it.
No, I just wanted to put responsibility where it belonged, and our position, regardless of scope of practice decisions, was you should police your own licensees and shouldn't want an outside agency doing that for you. I know this board would not want the esthetician board investigating our LMTs regarding scope of practice. That's our decision.
Right, which might be really nice for us to all see that, because LMTs sometimes do things in spas that are like they'll do a wrap and like, so there becomes these
Or
tensions
use
and
a
I think that might
product,
help
like I'm
us
gonna
all.
do a face massage, but here's this product.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, that might just be good information for us to go forward
And
with.
with our committee working on scope of practice issues for massage, it would be nice to know how the estheticians have defined their site.
Exactly, especially since we already have things like specifically the, limit being able to do things that would be under the chiropractic scope.
Yes,
That,
absolutely.
you know,
Or physical therapist.
that we will actually put that in, like that might be helpful.
Thank you, Melissa, for bringing that up.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful, thank you. Anything else? Okay, if we don't have anything else, we can go ahead and move into public comment. If you're a member of the public who would like to speak, could I just get you to turn your camera on so we know?
If you want to make a comment.
If you want to make a comment, yes. Okay, I'll go ahead and move on to correspondence and public comments. It looks like at this point, we do not have any correspondence unless something came in. Bob Kaite, I just want to verify, nothing came in as correspondence?
No.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, public comment is limited to matters on the public meeting agenda or otherwise relevant.
But Ron, I'm sorry, I missed the call for public comment. I have a few, if that's all right.
Yeah, I just have to read something in for the meeting record. Give me just a second.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it. I'm sorry.
Public comment is limited to matters on the public meeting agenda or otherwise relevant to matters that may come before this agency. Comments will not be allowed that are longer than the time allotted by the chair and are disruptive to the agency's conduct of its business. Any member of the public who'd like to address the board, please turn your camera on. When called upon by the chair, please turn on your microphone and state your name and license number or association for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Okay, let's go ahead and begin with, I think that was Don who was calling in?
Yeah, yes, thank you. Don Schiff, LMT number 23463, representing AMTA Oregon. I'm the government relations chair. I had a couple comments regarding CE and the BLS issue. And I regret that I can't have my camera on, but the link to the GoToMeeting didn't work, but I can hear you, so that's good. My understanding, which I got from either the Heart Association or the Red Cross website, is that BLS equals CPR plus AED. AED is the automatic defibrillator. And so I haven't seen the language for the new, that's being proposed for the new rule, but they're the same thing. The comment about 80% of it not being relevant to LMTs, that's not BLS. That I don't think. I think that's ACLS, Advanced Cardiac Life Support, which is indeed an advanced certification that's not relevant to us. If you simply said BLS or AED plus CPR, I think that would clarify things for licensees. Now, about the issue that you can take a course for 10 minutes and get a CPR card, yes, that's true. And yes, I did that. And I don't think that's a workaround. That's simply something that's allowed by the rules. What I didn't do was ask for continuing education credit for that, which I believe is not allowed and only allowed for certain courses, if I'm remembering this correctly. In general, with our CEs, to have the board staff vet CEs would take way too much staff time. They do that in New Mexico. It's basically all they do, and they're really, really slow to process and accept these applications. So I don't think it's viable, certainly not at this time. There are maybe a few things you could do, but basically we're stuck with let the buyer beware. And, if the board wants to say you have to take an in-person course every 2 years, you can make that rule. I'd argue against it, but that would require a change. Now, in terms of the board, what's the word I'm looking for? Suggesting courses which are relevant for supervised CE, like ethics. A friend of mine took an ethics class that wasn't supervised and had to take another ethics class. The board had suggested two, and the one she took, she thought was very low quality. And if the board's going to look at courses at all, it should be the ones that they're saying this is going to pass our muster.
Okay, Don, I've got to.
I think that's about all. I'm sorry, I talked over you.
Oh, I just have to ask you to wrap up real quick.
Yes, very good. I'm finished. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, looks like that's all for today. Give me just 1 second, we will start. We are done with public comment, so I will go ahead and read us into executive session. Yes, Kaite.
I just want to capture the colors. Could we just have whoever is calling on the phone to state their name?
Okay,
Don did. Don is good.
We tried to do that.
do we have any phone callers other than Don, who could state their name? It looks like we have some callers in, but we don't know who you are yet. Anyone on the phone? They might have called in, but they might not be listening the whole time, so.
We tried.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's try this again. Okay, we'll go ahead and move into executive session. The Oregon Board of Massage Therapists will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192660 to discuss certain matters on the agenda pursuant to ORS 192660-2F, to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection, ORS 192501 sub 4, to review, discuss, and consider written legal advice provided by the Department of Justice pursuant to ORS 192660-2F, or to consult with counsel concerning legal rights and duties regarding current litigation or litigation likely to be filed pursuant to ORS 192660-2H. To consider and discuss in executive session information obtained as part of an investigation of a licensee, applicant, or other person alleged to be participating in violation, to be practicing in violation of law pursuant to ORS 192660-2KL and ORS 676-175. No decision may be made in the executive session. At the end of the executive session, the board will return to the open session and welcome the public back into the room. ORS 687-081 sub 5, prior to imposing a sanction under ORS 687-081 or any rule of the board shall consider, but is not limited to considering, the following factors: the person's past history in observing the provisions of ORS 687-011 to 687-250, 687-895, and 687-991 in the rules of the board. The effect of the violation on public safety and welfare, the degree to which the action subject to sanction violates professional ethics and standards of practice, the economic and financial condition of the person subject to sanction, and any mitigating factors that the board may choose to consider. I estimate that we will return to the public session at, how long do you think this one's going to take?
That's a while.
Couple hours?
There's 31 cases.
At
least an hour and a half.
I'll say noon.
Yeah.
Okay, I estimate we'll return to public session at noon. Representatives of the media or designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. If attending virtually, we'll return back to this session at noon. Okay, so at this point, Carol, we will see you over in executive session, and we'll see everybody back here at noon. We can go ahead and stop this recording.